And we are live, ladies and gentlemen. Take it away, Beefy.
Hey, welcome everyone. I gotta say thank you, whoever created that outstanding introduction. That was beautiful. And we are in the roundtable chat for Boba's Alliance. So there's a regular doorway ahead of you that you can choose to enter right now, live if you want, if you're listening live. You can become a caller and join us live. We're going to pass the feather around the table, this big round wooden table, and anybody who has entered the channel will be introduced by whoever entered the channel just before them. So as of now, there are 4 callers on the table. There are 4 people seated at the round table, and the first one to come in and sit down is Dylar. He's the one who set up the video. Second is me, Beef Martine. Third is D Raven or Draven. And third, it appears, fourth, that is, it appears Queen Avi is as at the table with us tonight too. So, I'm number 2, but I'm gonna just introduce the concept of the round table and tell you about the magic feather, which means when you're holding the feather, it's your turn to talk. So if you must interject or interrupt, the best way to do that is to wait for your turn with the feather, and then at the end of your turn, you should introduce the next person. So each person only has to remember one name. Dylar, you're introducing Beef, which is me, which you just did. Thank you. Beef, which is me. I introduced number 3, Draven, who will speak next. Draven is going to always introduce Avi, and then Avi will introduce Dylar, unless somebody new enters the round table. And so we'll handle that when it pops up. Anyway, thanks for the introduction, Dylar. And I'm Beef Martine, and now I'm gonna pass the magic feather to number 3 on the round table, which is Draven. So say hello.
Hello, all out there in the galaxy. It's nice for y'all to come and join us, and it's good to see y'all. And I hope you'll have a good day. And Queen, your turn.
Hey everyone, I'm Queen Avi, or Avinash, most people know me as, but here in Boba's Alliance, I'm known as Queen Avi. Glad to be here, and can't wait to get this started. And next on our list is Dylar.
Well, Avi, I'm just going to start this off with saying that I am not streaming via Wi-Fi, so you're not going to have the same kind of issues that you had last night.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you saw that, huh? Yeah.
Yeah. No, always go wired when you're live streaming, ladies and gentlemen. Always go wired.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I've been telling him that for months and months and months.
Oh, well. It's always enjoyable. I tune in every Monday morning I listen to it on the replay on my way to work, so I get to see all the snafus, and I guess he's got gas now. That was kind of nice.
Yes, definitely. Definitely, finally. So, well, gee, I hope I didn't embarrass myself or anything.
Oh, no, you're good. So
Good.
what's going on in the overall Boba's Alliance? I see that we're now kicking off dark side territory battles, so Alpha's back up to full strength. I see. And how's everyone else doing?
So far, so good.
Very, very good to be back in saddle again.
Yeah.
Yay.
What are we shooting for stars this week, Avi?
Well, we'll always be attempting that 33rd star. But it's going to take a bit more GP and maybe a few more Kylo Rens to be able to pull that off. But we'll see. We're getting closer and closer all the time.
Yeah, I can't remember how close we were last time.
I can't remember. It's a blur. Light side territory battles, when that rolls around, always dims out everything else that I've done in the past because I'm so focused on that and it burns my brain cells out.
Very good. I want to point out it's perfectly acceptable for the feather to speak conversationally to everyone, and as Dylar is doing, so that is fine. Carry on. Or pass to me.
Well, you can have her, man.
So the question that I'd like to bring to the room's attention, because sometimes when you have the feather, You may choose to ask a question to the room or answer the question that's been asked or otherwise comment on the other commentary. Okay, the question I want to ask to the room is, what have been your signs of hope in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes? I feel like a plot of A New Hope hinges on this concept of hope, and then as I've been struggling with General Anakin Skywalker Phase 4 Clash on Camino, I've been thinking about the long haul of farming gear gradually over the months, and I feel like that game model has instilled some sense of hope in me, even though the daily grind has become such a boring ritual. It does pay off eventually, and so I can see, oh, I'm 100 days out from going relic on this character, but I have a view of the future. So that's, for me, what's giving me hope in the game is just the daily grind. But I'll pass the question next and the microphone to Duraven. And the question was, what's been giving you hope in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes?
Hope is very simple. You do not want to focus on 1,000 things in this game. You need to focus on one goal. It's like they say in the movies, take baby steps. Focus on one thing, get your achievement, and feel good about it, and then I'll pass the feather on to the next person.
All right. Well, I don't know if I ever lost hope. Like I kind of like it right now. How, and I am just to kind of introduce myself. I'm an almost day one player. I've got what's just tickling 7 million GP. I got both GLs, and the Jedi or the Galactic Legend Luke requirements are actually quite nice and quite friendly. So I'm fairly close to him already. Like I was just going back into my video logs, and I kind of looked at where I was right when the last requirements for GL Ray were announced, and I am way ahead of the curve from this GL from the last GL. So that kind of gives me hope, but that's kind of like a bone to the veteran players. Other than that, I don't know. For me, it's a little bit different when I approach this game because I am a content creator. Like I'm invited onto the Gambit podcast to discuss the game on the 16th, and I'm always kicking around the community, just like Avi's on a couple shows, and so like that's a big section of the game for me too. So that's always something that's enjoyable besides just the game and just the daily grind. So I'd say again, I never really lost hope, but I kind of like how GLs, if they were honest when they said that they're going to be equivalent in power, that's going to be nice for Arena because we might see a lot of new people that are able to climb that haven't been able to climb so far. So that's about it for me. I'll pass that one over to Avi.
Hey, hope. I would have to say that I'm kind of hoping that some quality of life changes will be in the game soon, including something to do with a little bit more in mod management, because the more characters that we have, the more mods that we need, and they have not increased the amount of mods, the cap or anything, and the mod management kind of stinks. Even though there's other ways that we can deal with mods, but it's just a very tight thing that we have to deal with every day. My hopes in the game, I would say that CG has plans for the future, and it looks like for the long term. So as much as I'm hoping that the game is around a long time, because I have a feeling I'll be playing it for that long. I don't know. It's hard to say. I would say when you're near completion of a tune that you've had a very long journey obtaining, that, you were talking about, spending 100 days to get to, finish up a tune or whatever. That is something to me is honestly too long. But at the same time as that draws nearer and you have the gear and the relics ready and you're just biting, you're just hoping that you can get that last piece, or you can just kind of hope to get that journey end, so that you have something, and you have something that you have accomplished and obtained, and you have worked your butt off to get. And that's always kind of like a cool thing that happens. And I like that. That's kind of like my hope thingy. And
Yeah, I'm feeling that. That felt really good the way territory war played out this last time for me. Beefed, I'm the next person with the feather. And it gave me that feeling of like unity with a power beyond myself, I guess. I had put more stuff on defense, and then my guild came through in attack phase, and there were a couple times where I, as TW coordinator, just pointed to the enemies and said, look at this GAS, with such and such speed. Can we do something about this? And my friends, my allegiance, my guild came through and like wiped him out, and it made me so happy. And so I got that pleasurable feeling recently of just like bliss from the territory war. But I would introduce a new question, but I introduced the last question, so maybe I'll just pass the feather on over to Draven and see what he's got on his mind. And so the next person who the feather is going to is Draven, and this is an open chat on the round table, so you can bring up any topic that you want to talk about.
He might have
But
stepped
if he
out.
doesn't pop off soon.
I'll throw one out there. What are you farming right now, Beef?
I'm just farming a little bit more on GAS, Clash on Camino. I finally today got Gear 12 on Magna Guard, and yesterday or the day before I got Gear 12 on the Droidica. So I went into it with Relic Asajj, Relic B1 Battle Droid, and Gear 11 everyone else. And after many hopeless hours, I determined that Gear 11 is no good there. And I watched some YouTube videos that are like the lowest gear you can possibly do the event, and they're all Gear 12. So you need the 6-dot mods, and I got G12 on 2 out of 3 of those last droids. Right now only B2 is Gear 11, but I'm going hard on trying that event, although I haven't moved my mods back. I got hopeless on the event at Gear 11. I moved my arena mods all back to my arena team. And then so I figured I would grind for a week or two till I get somebody else gold and then try it again. But as soon as I popped a gear on somebody, I'm immediately in that event back to the journey guide to try again. And some runs I'm killing 5s, but then I'm not really killing 2 clones. So I got to switch mods. I need to farm more speed mods, and I need more gear on my units. Actually, now I probably need to rearrange mods and try for 10 hours.
Yeah, there's some specific speed limits you got to hit on that one. You can definitely do it if you got Asajj Relic and B1 Relics. If the other ones are just Gear 12 and with their Zetas, you can definitely do it at that.
Yeah, I'm fully Zetaed, and I've got enough mods to bring everybody up to about 240 speed. So I think I've actually got it now by finally putting G12 on Magna Guard. I might squeak by with Gear 11 on the B2. I don't know. What are you farming? Next would be Draven, but he didn't answer. After that is Avi.
what am I farming? I'm farming Mon Mothma right at the moment. She is my last tune that I need to get shards for and gear up for GL Luke. Otherwise, I am ready for him and kind of excited about it. Although I would rather honestly go for Palpatine, but I am much further away from that one. So that's going to be my next farm down the road, but I'm just going to do that slowly. But luckily for the GL Luke, most of that was already taken care of, not only with the previous GLs and some relation to that, some of the tunes relation to that. But just because the account was always kind of up there anyway, so I was kind of lucky on that end of it.
Cool.
So it's all.
Dylar, what are you farming these days?
Well, I got it kind of pulled up on the screen right now. So I'm going for GL Luke right now. I have 4-star Gear 11 Mon Mothma, so obviously I'm farming her shards right now. I got a Gear 12 Leia, so I got a Gear 13 her. And I am 11 out of 100 on Chupio. So, and I got his pieces to take him to 12, so I got 3 characters to Relic. But what was really depressing was I actually sat down today with a pencil, or I guess a pen and paper, and I just wrote down how much of the signal data I need and how much of the relic materials I need. And man, oh, that was depressing. I need like 400 of the white signal data, 500 of the blue, and 200 of, 500 of the green and 200 of the blue. But then I need roughly 800 of some of the relic pieces to take all my necessary tunes for the GL Luke up to the required relic level. And I got like nothing left for just the first tier 1 relic piece. Like I'm down to 50 pieces each. Like I'm gonna be spent. I'm gonna have nothing left for Palp. So after this GL, I'm tapped out. It's gonna be a long grind for Palpatine. And if I was going for Palpatine, I have so many characters still like not at relic that it would be even astronomically more difficult. So I'm gonna finish GL Luke, and then I'm actually gonna take to just a Relic 0 the rest of the parts for the Mon Mothma team, and then slowly grind for Palpatine, because it's going to take me forever just to get the Relic mats.
What about the Carbonite circuit boards? That's what you're talking about, the first Relic gear.
Yep, that's it. Here, I'll pull it up for the viewers.
Yeah, that's the new crunch. It's no longer the old credit crunch. It's Carbonite circuit boards.
Yep.
And
so
you're onto something there.
So everyone's kind of looks at my screen right now. I got 904, so I got enough of that. But you saw how much material I have left to take to crunch for relics. It's not a lot. So, yeah. So I'm going to be farming relic stuff after GL Luke.
Dylar, you're concluding your statement at the perfect time to introduce our 5th caller, which is Kadar. And the question to Kadar, besides how you doing, is what are you farming?
Hello, good to be here all. I'm doing pretty good. In terms of what I'm farming, doing a bit of a mixed bag. In terms of energy farms, I'm doing Mothma, Veers, and 3PO. And then I'm buying shards for Stark and Maul through the guild store and fleet shard currency and all that jazz. So I'm going for a mixed bag right now. As for which Galactic Legend I'm going to go for, I've got Hoda. I don't have Wampa. I don't know how quickly I can get Wampa, but I'm hoping they'll release some packs for Wampa if I decide to go for him. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I'm mostly just waiting on the kits right now to see if there's going to be any clear contender. Otherwise, I'll just go for Palp.
That sounds like a good plan. So you're just kind of doing a flexible farming scenario.
Yeah, there's no gear committed right now. I'm just stocking enough gear, with the exception of getting Padme to relics.
You know, I really liked what somebody said on last week's roundtable, and this is beefed again. And I would just say, as we were discussing the unpredictability of like what characters are they going to drop on us that we have to farm for these GL, and what Naughty Karate said was, you just save, you just hoard. And that is kind of the solution at some point. You just kind of farm your way along what you like to farm, and then wait until you really find out where you're going to go next. That's a good point. Well, let's see. This is the roundtable chat for the Band of Brothers and Sisters Alliance. We're about halfway through. We got 5 callers on, which is 1, Dylar, 2, Beef. That's me, I'm speaking now. 3, Draven. 4 is Queen Avi, the head of Boba's Alliance, and 5 is Kadar. And when it's your turn to have the feather, you could either ask a question to the room, answer a question that's been asked, or otherwise, you know, chit-chat or comment on the discussion at hand. The next to pass the feather to is Draven, but last time I tried to pass the feather to him, he was in a force-induced trance and he couldn't open the mic. Draven, are you there? Have you come back to reality? If he doesn't have something to say right now, then next the mic passes to Queen Avi. So Queen Avi, you can ask a question to the room, answer a question that's been asked, or otherwise comment on the topics at hand. Avi, you're up.
Now,
Now. Oh, now Draven is back.
now he's there. Yeah. Well, let's
Okay.
go back to Draven. Let's go ahead and have him ask a question or involve in whatever questions we've already had. So.
Okay.
number one thing is I've been farming huts for the new 2 fleets. What have y'all been farming for, or are y'all prepared for the new fleets in GAC?
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, that's going to be what first and second tier GAC. They're going to have the 2 fleets, or was it just the first tier?
First and second.
1 and 2.
First and second. Okay.
So Avi is the next to speak. You can address that question.
I'm fairly prepared for it. Of course, I'm in Division 1 on almost all my accounts. My little baby account, I don't know where it's at because it just signs up and doesn't do anything. Just for the rewards. I'm prepared for it on all of it, but some of my pilots are still a bit low. The issue that I have is that you have all these capital ships, but not enough ships to go with them. And not only not enough ships to go with them, but enough of the ships that would synergize with those capital ships. You're talking about first order, like for example, the finalizer. You don't have enough first order to be able to do much, so you have to kind of scramble and figure out what might work with that ship. You've also got the radas, which is basically resistance. You don't have enough resistance ships to be able to make a full team. So you have to figure out what may or may not even remotely synergize with it. You may have to put ships in that don't synergize with it. The same with like the AA and Mallow and Negotiator. You're running out of ships. You've got the ships like the Houndstooth, which can be used basically anywhere. It's plug and play anywhere. There's just not enough of anything similar to that to be able to use with some of the other ships. Even the Y-Wing, even the other ones, they're just not quite HT viable. So you're having to scramble to mix and match. Now, having 2 of the capital ships on defense, you really have to figure out what you want to have on offense. Do you want to put your 2 crappiest ships on defense? Or do you want to put 1 good one, 1 semi-good one, and then just keep it 1 good one and 1 possible decent one on offense? That's going to be interesting to see. That's kind of how I'm looking at it. I'm kind of on the fence about it. I like the fact that it's been increased, but I don't like the fact that there's actually not enough ships to go around to be able to battle that.
That's an excellent answer, and the same question to Kadar.
Can you repeat the question again? I want to make sure I heard it right.
Oh, he was saying, well, are you ready for this? Because now we got to place 2 fleets on defense.
Well, I'll tell you what, I am definitely ready because I'm only Division 3, so I don't have to worry about all that fancy schmancy 2 fleets on defense stuff. I'm feeling pretty good about my position right now. But no, I do completely understand the issue with the fact that there are there's 6 capital ships, I want to say.
That's about right.
Yeah, I'm gonna look that up quickly here.
But there's not enough ships to go around. She's right.
Yeah, like the issue is there's just nowhere near enough ships to well, there might be enough ships that you could put in as 1 ship for each slot, but there aren't enough ships to make cohesive fleets as
There are 8 capital ships.
yeah, you're correct, Dave.
Yeah.
So there's enough ships for 4 fleets, but then one thing you really have to consider then is cleanups. So it's really more forcing you to be, you really gotta one-shot those fleets, because if you miss one, odds are, unless you just missed it on the first go around, winning a cleanup battle with ships is going to be next to impossible in Div 2 or 1. And I would hope that CG is aware of that and all right, after these Galactic Legends, ships, gotta get some real estate up there.
Yeah, throw some more ships at it. Okay, same question to caller 1, which is Dylar.
Am I ready for it? I think so. Do I know what strategy I'm going to use right now? Not a clue. Because, I watched a video today of how to kill negotiators with the finalizer fleet. But, that was with a 5-star finalizer, and I think he said that the success rate was about 60%. So, with that fleet specifically, you're going to have Silencer, Special Forces, the shuttle off the front, and then you're going to bring in the Ebon Hawk to kill Anakin. So, and that's with a really low level Ebon Hawk. So it is possible, we can do it, but I don't know if I'm going to play strategically and go for that, or if I'm going to play chicken and just put, say, my Admiral Akbar and my Thrawn on defense, and then just keep Malevolence and Negotiator. So, because, if you keep your Malevolence and your Negotiator, if your opponent places the 2 hardest fleets, which are those fleets, you're going to be able to kill them. You can use Malevolence easily enough to take out the Negotiator, and the Negotiator to take out Malevolence. So, am I ready? Yes, I am ready, but I still haven't figured out what strategy I'm going to go. Am I going to go the easy way, or am I going to try to play for heavy defense?
Interesting. That's the perspective from 7 million GP at Dylar. I'm at 5 million GP beefed, and I've got 4 fleets, but I don't have them all together. My Negotiator is great, my Akbar is great, but the other 2 fleets are kind of just junk. And I could throw the bounty hunter ships or kind of the better junk into one spot, but I don't have an exact strategy. I'll probably put the most unpredictable stuff on defense, because that's the way I like to roll, is with something that they haven't really seen that's on defense. It may not be meta, but then at least I have my true meta fleets, or ones that I'm comfortable with. In this case, Rebels and GK's fleet are going to be on offense, and the other junk on defense. DeRaven, do you answer that question? Or anyway, I pass the feather to DeRaven is next.
Well, since K is Division 3, like he said, I don't know how close he is to Division 2, but does that make you not want to go to Division 2, that knowing that you have to may have to put 2 defense, or will that motivate you to move up?
I only just hit Division 3 when I relicked up my Supreme Leader Kylo Ren. I have, so I've got 330 shards for most of the geos, and I'm working on shard farming for the First Order fleet. So I can pull up 2 more fleets immediately if I need to. They're just not going to be perfect starred and such. But all those, the Geos and First Order, they're obviously all geared. So if I had to pull those fleets up, I would immediately have 2 decent fleets to use. But the problem with that is 2 fleets at that level, that's at least 600,000 GP that I would just be instantly adding to my power. And that would not be fun, because I don't have the characters to put up with it in terms of giving myself more defensive teams on Grand Arena.
That's an excellent point too.
It's a very delicate balancing act, I've discovered. It's why I try to be so very strict when I'm activating characters and giving them gear and such.
So technically the next to propose a question for the round table would probably be Queen Avi.
Okay, let's see. Let me come up with a question here. Let's see. With the game that it is, and with the gap being so far between the have and have nots, the super high GPs with the low GPs, or even the medium GPs, how do you feel about, and it's not necessarily pay to play versus free to play, but just the growing gap between the have and have nots? How do you guys feel about that?
Question goes first to Kadar.
That's an interesting question. I think in terms, like, I'm sorry, can you repeat the question again? I want to make sure I understood it. I apologize. I'm a little tired
No,
tonight.
that's hey, don't worry about it. The have and have nots, kind of like the super high GP versus the low or medium GP in how does the players feel about the growing gap between the have and have nots?
Is the gap growing?
With the Galactic Legends, I would probably say it's growing. I think I'm of the opinion that's not where the biggest difference is in the game. I think the biggest difference in the game is what's available for veterans versus what's available for newer players. So for veterans, I mean, when the veteran players who have been here for a few years, while they were busy all farming Rolo, Imperial Probe Droid, they were doing all the Hoth territory battles. Geonosis wasn't a thing yet. But now that Geonosis is a thing and the rewards for Geonosis are so infinitely better, it's a lot harder at times to find guilds good guilds, I should say, that will run Hoth, be it dark side or light side. And so as a result of that, I'm of the opinion that farming for those characters, particularly Rolo, since she's now a Galactic Legend requirement, but also Imperial Probe Droid because he's very useful on counter teams for Galactic Legends. We're going to see in the next 6 months to a year a much greater disparity between who has those two characters and how old those accounts are versus who doesn't have them and how young those accounts are. And then give it another year, it's going to be even wider of a difference. So if any player has started in the last year, I would wager it's going to take them probably 50% longer to get those two characters farmed up to 7 stars compared to older veteran players.
That's a great detailed answer. That was Kadar. And we've got a new caller that we just added to the show, which is to the round table, which is Fish and Chips. And so Fish and Chip, am I saying that right? The question to you is pretty good. So Kadar, every time when you finish talking, you introduce this guy Fish and Chip. So you're the one who has to learn how to say his name. But the question that's going around the room is, how do you feel about the growing power gap in this game? And what are you doing about it? Next, Fish and Chips, you go.
Well, I guess I'm not sure if I'm going to end up on the same page as everybody else, but I don't know that I'm seeing as much of a gap as I felt, at previous times. And I guess it's partly in how you can keep up and how you can't, because it's all about your personal experience. And as opposed to, I'm not responsible for anybody else or looking out for anybody else. So I'm just a free play guy who's trying his best to keep up. And I think that being in a really good guild and having everything that goes with that has made a huge difference in my ability to keep up. Like I said, there's that jump, that pay to play advantage where you get 3 to 6 months ahead of the free play guys, but I'm not feeling like the gap is getting bigger.
That's good. That's an interesting answer. And Fish and Chips, the feather next to you at the table, you pass the feather to Dylar. So whenever you're done, you'd say, okay, the next to speak is, and introduce Dylar. You only have to remember one person's name unless someone new comes in. So same question,
So
how do you feel about that to Dylar?
Oh,
So we just move up the list as we can see.
Sorry.
Yep.
You'll figure it out. I'm not too concerned about the gap in like free to play or new to play to the whales, because there is such a wide range of people at all levels. And if you go and I recommend checking out the GAC Center on the Escape podcast, because there's guys down in like Division 7 and 5 and 6 that are just like, they're having fun. It's those people are still having fun at those levels because, you know, they're not, other than arena, well, they might be facing some whales in arena, but they're playing a different game than we are, say, at the 7 million plus level. They're not seeing Galactic Legends in Grand Arena. They're not seeing them in TW. And if anything, I think they have it a lot better than we did when we started, because now they have like the journey guide, so they can say, GL Luke, look at him. So I got to go for these tunes, figure out how to get these tunes, and I got my GL. I'm set. Like, those guys have a clear path. And then they're going to go up through the raids like we did, and they're going to grow at their own level. They're going to bump up to different level guilds once they move up or they outgrow their current guild. I think the game is probably, in my opinion, the most healthy right now. If we didn't have GAC, I think that this game, it would be much, much different in this discussion of free-to-play or lower GP players versus high GP players. I think right now this game caters to people of all levels, and I'm quite pleased with it. So I don't know if I'm supposed to pass this over to Avi or Card.
Technically,
or Kadar.
Technically, you pass it to Beef every time.
All right, Beefy.
Yeah,
what do you think?
Mr. Beefy.
Okay. I feel like the power gap works two ways. One is there's long-time players, there's old-time players who have a certain type of a roster or a build-up, and they have all the Jawas, they have all the Tusken Raiders. Then there's these powerful new players like Kadar, who have a 3 or less million GP account, but he's got Galactic Legends unlocked. So there's different ways of approaching the game or farming it or playing it. Thus, I feel like the power gap is, although it's growing, it's less important than you might imagine. That there's actually a way of playing the game with a new account and still being just totally on top of your squad arena shard and bringing in more purple crystals that way, being totally on top of your fleet shard and bringing in more purple crystals. Then you have certain advantages over some old man like me that's in love with Star Wars, that, you know, I raised all my characters to level 75 because why not? I got the training droids and the credits for it. So I'm going to get a different kind of a match in Grand Arena. I might pull somebody who's got one of these, you know, hyper efficient lower level accounts that's super powerful. Oh, anyway, it's interesting, but I think it's actually less important as the game goes on, and that new players have certain advantages of advanced knowledge of the new characters, which there is power creep, and thus they can farm only the new characters. They don't waste as many GP on raising their Tusken Raiders. And, you know, I'm really valuable to my guild for 10 seconds in territory battle because I got or at 7 stars. But that's about it. Okay, so then same question, Duraven, you want to answer that one? How do you feel about the growing power gap? I pass the feather to Duraven.
All right, the power gap, I can see what y'all all say, but where I see where there's a power gap is actually not in GAC. It's actually when you're fighting with your guild in TW. I see many guilds that have multiple GP range in their guild, and there's some people that can like we always want. Normally, people put like four ground units on defense and 1 on fleet. That's usually standard for TW. But I've also seen when it comes to offense, it becomes like first one that gets on, kill something, you know. And sometimes they mess up, and then a low turn meter, and then someone else has to clean it up. Is with the I'm trying to point. You get what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, but it's more glaring in territory war where everybody's in together fighting the same battle.
Exactly, and GAC, if you built your roster correctly where you're seeded, you can win pretty good. Like me, I'm like you said, I'm like in the same GP as you are, B, but I don't have a Galactic Leader, but I'm a long-time collector player in this game, and I get the top rewards every time. I usually there's only a few I lose, but if I fought a Galactic Leader, of course I would lose. Abby, your turn.
Well, it's hard to say because I hear people complain about the gap all the time, and I think it's people that are wanting what the higher GP has, but it's going to take so much longer for them to obtain because a lot of people want the new shiny now. They're not willing to wait for it. So I think that's why I was wondering how people kind of felt about the gap. Because of that. But my account, or one of my accounts, I have two accounts that are over 7 million. One of them's almost 7.6 million. And when I sign up for GAC, I don't fight. I mean, honestly I don't have time. So I just kind of leave it in there and just kind of collect rewards, and whatever I get at the end, I'll just be happy with. But frequently I come first, because I get into these large GP groups that don't battle at all. And then I just win based on GP. So there's times where I get those Zetas and first place rewards and never did a battle. And I do that on all of my accounts. Once in a while I'll battle, but honestly, I just don't have the time for it. And so, but in terms of the power gap, when you're a much lower GP, you don't have to worry so much about some of the getting the new shiny off the bat. You saying, hey, I'm in this cool guild and we're just slowly farming this stuff and we're going to get there. We're growing as a guild. Everybody's kind of on the same level. This is going to work out great. And that's more relaxing. When you get into the middle GP, you're kind of more at the level where it's kind of expected for you to have more of the tunes that are out nowadays, that just recently came out, than it is to just build your past roster. So there's a little bit more stress in the mid-range, and I'm going to say anywhere from about 4.5 to about 6.5 million. I'm going to say 6 million, 4.5 to 6 million. There's a little more stress in obtaining that tune, because if you switch guilds and stuff, you're going to be expected to have certain tunes, and you may not have them because of your race to try to get the Galactic Legend. So you might not have your geos built up. You might not have your gas and your clones built up exactly the way that the guild wants it, or territory battles, because you've been chasing the newest shiny. In the much higher GP, we don't always notice what's going on down below us. Now in Alpha, our guild is very diverse in terms of the have and have nots in a sense. We have very, very high GP. I don't know, 8.5, 8.7, I think is somebody, Gidge might be a bit. But at the same time, we also have a player that's 5.3. So that's a huge gap. That's a 3 million gap from the top to the bottom that we try to compensate for in the guild in that sense. So if we were in a hyper-focused guild, we wouldn't have that 5.3, but because we're not, we allow that because we like to see people grow with us. And I think that pertains to a lot of the different guilds as well, that if you get into a good guild and you can grow with the guild, you can learn so much and you can get what you need, but you're not pressured into doing so. And I think that helps alleviate the gaps in that sense. Okay, who did I have?
Pass to Kadar.
Yep.
Alrighty, so I already asked. So I already answered, so now I get to ask a question, right?
Yep.
We got about 15 minutes. You should have time to ask a question. Fish and Chips can ask one, and we got caller 7, Absolutely Sith, on the line. He could probably do one too.
Alrighty, I got a fun question. This one is definitely a much more theory crafting, predicting in regards to the Galactic Legend. So, when Rey and Kylo first came out, it was pretty clear as day once there was some playing done. Who do we think is going to have the better synergy with their required units?
between Palp and Luke. Let's
Yeah.
make it a speed round and pass this question right over to Fish and Chip. What do you think? Palp or Luke?
Oh, it's a pure guess. I certainly hope it's Luke, but I'm guessing that it's going to be Palp because that's how it works for me. I went with Ray first last time, and that was not the right choice. So I'm going to suggest that it's going to be Palpatine. And
Absolutely,
I'll
Sith.
pass
You
the
want to
feather
toss out a speed round answer on that question? Muted. Hey, absolutely, Sith. The feather's coming to you. You're number 7. Dylar, you can answer while we wait. See if he's going to tell us a question and answer in.
Who's going to synergize the best with their required tunes? Now, if it's Grandmaster Jedi Luke Skywalker, I think that we're going to just kind of be like Rey, and he's going to be paired with Jedi. I don't think that we're going to put Rebels with him. So I'd actually say that Palpatine would probably, in my opinion, and just theory crafting, is going to synergize better with his required tunes just because there's some Sith on there. I think whereas Kylo in Arena and stuff, you always see Kylo run with the full First Order team, but Rey in Arena specifically, she's not with Resistance. She's with Jedi. So I think the light side tunes are built more, or the light side GLs are built more to synergize with the light side faction in general, whereas the dark side tunes have more synergy with their respective faction.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of agree on that. I think, though, in this case, that Luke is going to end up having more effective synergy with his pals. And it's only because Palp has a little bit of a narrow group to me of characters that he's going to interact with compared to Luke. And so, therefore, I'm hoping that there's some unanticipated interaction between Luke and some of the other characters that he synergizes with that'll make the answer Luke all the way. That's what I hope. Okay, Draven, what do you think?
I'm going to have to go with Palpatine on this one. Because, like you were saying, with Luke, he's probably not going to get a resistance tag. But if he does, it'd be good. But you also have to remember in the movie, they go to, spoilers if you haven't seen the movie, the group that rises out from the planet, they're not First Order. They're the Final Order. So we could actually get a whole new faction with the new Emperor. What do you all think about that?
That's a great thing to toss out. Queen Avi?
I had not thought about that. Probably, yeah, I had not thought. Yeah, that's right. It was the Final Order. So that could be interesting in what might come up with that aspect of it. That would be fascinating.
Yet they're
fun.
calling him Sith Eternal, so it seems like he's going to be more Sith. I don't think they'd make us a whole new faction at this point.
Oh, tough. Okay, well, we got a few minutes left, and let's pass the feather around one more time. Person who has not proposed a question to the room is Fish and Chip.
Well, that's quite interesting because Fish and Chip had no idea what he was getting into other than a voice chat when he hopped on.
Yeah.
That's okay. If you don't want to, that's fine. But it's just.
But you may.
It's just a question.
I actually haven't really been thinking about anything in particular. Although I was going back a little bit. I was thinking about the reason that we gathered up all our characters, and the reason I have characters like Lobot and whatnot was for TV and that kind of stuff way back in the day. But anyway, I don't really have a question, so I'll pass the feather on. That'd be Dylar.
Yeah.
Oh, question to
Dylar.
me. Okay, well, I guess what I'm wondering is now that this game is what are we? We're 5 years old, 6 years old, 4 years old. It's old for a mobile game.
5 years old in December.
What is the feeling in all your guilds? So, like, what is the general consensus? Is your Discord still popping? Is it still active? How are you finding guild management at this point in the game life cycle?
Do you choose to answer the question or just pass the feather?
No, I can answer it first, and then we can pass it along. I don't know. I think I've been in TI. I've been in some competitive guilds. I've bounced around, and I don't know. For me, Alpha seems just the perfect blend of casual with endgame content for me. And I don't know, Avi, it seems like we always got a wait list, so I'd say we're fairly active.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But-
Nobody wants to leave.
But I've also been in guilds where I was the recruiter, and it was a constant job. It was a full-time job. I was always scanning the recruiting channels, always filling holes. So I think it's just totally different depending on the guild you're in, which is why I posed the question to your each specific guild.
Next, Beef Martine, and I'm in a guild, an alliance, Boba's Alliance guild called Utter Madness. We're a casual guild, and we've been doing dark side Geo and light side Hoth, and it's been full 50-50, and we end up kicking out the least active people to recruit higher GP active people. And God bless the recruiters, because they're paying attention and they pull people out of the woodwork in who want a casual fun guild. So you don't have to join territory war, but if you do join territory war, that's because you want to fight. And so the past several territory wars, we've just stomped on guilds that were technically more serious guilds, and that had like more GL and stuff on defense, but we just overwhelmed them because we had such high level of participation, and that's really fun to watch. And so the feeling of being in the guild lately has been incredibly satisfying for what it is. Although I didn't get the lawn mowed or whatever this weekend, but it was nice to see the synergy and see people working together and active in Discord and call out, who's going to take out this Skywalker or whatever. So it's been really a good vibe. Best part of the game for sure. Question goes to Raven. How's your guild management and recruiting?
I just currently just wrote. Sorry, I just joined Rise of Vizslar, and it's like you just said. It's not a It's more of a casual guild, but it's still quite focused, and I like the energy and the focus in the guild. Queen, it's your turn.
Next. Well, let's see. I've got 3 people here that are in my guild, Alpha. So I'm going to say that, Alpha is doing very, very well for being not only the top Boba guild, but also top 10 in the entire world in terms of galactic power. We've just, it's so nice. I think I've probably had to actually recruit twice in over a year and a half. That's all I've ever had to do. I've never really had to go stomping grounds and trying to pick people up. We generally have a waiting list. I think right now we have like 10 or 11 on our waiting list to get in at the moment. So, and it's a blessing and a curse, because I know people really, really, really want to get in, but people also don't want to leave. So our openings are extremely rare. I think we had one opening in the last 3 months.
How's
Is always
how's Robot Wizard doing? You lead that guild as well, don't you, Avi?
Sorry, is Discord being a little funky, or is that just me?
Well,
That
we were
might be
just
me.
wondering, are you the leader of Robot Wizard?
No, I'm not actually. The Robot Wizard, that is a guild that's within Boba's Alliance. It also is a different community. It's a theory craft.
We lost you on Theorycraft.
Yeah, that sounds like fun though.
Avi, I think
Maybe
you're on
we should-
Ramon's Wi-Fi.
Maybe we should pass the feather over to Kadar to answer the same question. How's your guild been going?
It's going. We're for reference, I'm a officer of Love and Alderaan Places, which I will always say is the greatest name any guild could ever possibly have. Have fun beating it. My primary role in the guild is I'm chief information officer, so I deep dive into the Reddit. I watch a lot of the theory crafting videos, character reveals and reviews and whatnot. I also do recruiting, and I'm taking a much more involved role with territory battle this week, which is fun. Definitely doing a lot. We're trying to push a little more involvement. Definitely trying to push a lot more activity on Discord because a lot of the guild likes to just use the in-game chat, but compared to Discord, that's really kind of trashy in terms of quality. But it is what it is. I enjoy the heck out of the guild. It's filled with great people, lots of enthusiasm for the game as a whole. And I do look forward to helping them grow in the future. But I know we're certainly not top of the food chain in the Alliance. But also, speaking of the Alliance, Avi, I'm curious, what's the going rate for cutting ahead of the queue? I'm kidding, by the way. That was an absolute joke. I would never do that to my guild.
I think it requires bribes of cheesecake and chocolate.
Oh, that's a lot cheaper than what I was thinking. That's a lot easier to manage.
I heard you have to jump out of a cheesecake and dance, is what I heard. But anyway.
I mean, I could do that. I mean, I have to get a big cheesecake, but I'm also pretty skinny. I could probably fit in a smaller one if I had to. Just squeeze out and go, surprise! This is still safe for work, right?
Yes. What about Mr. Fish and Chip? Do you want to answer this question? How's your guild going?
Well, I am the most recent acquisition of Alpha, I guess, so I'm not sure. Like I've only been here for a couple of weeks, but obviously it's pretty good. I mean, the thing that I noticed the most probably is that voice chat seems to be much less active than it was back, like say a year ago. But obviously I was in a different guild at that point. But it's kind of like I said, this is the first time I've been on voice, and well, I go up north in the summertime, so I don't have good internet, so that makes it hard. But it's just seems like it's hard to find a voice chat to get on, which was kind of what I was looking for when I hopped on here, was just to chat with some people and whatnot. But that's one of the things that I always enjoyed about the family of guilds that I'm part of, and so in some respects, I don't know if that's just maybe a carryover in the summer thing and it'll get better as fall goes on, or if that's just where we are now.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on. You came to the right place. This is a little bit of a voice chat anyway. Since there's 5 minutes left and we're going to cut the recording off, we could go on and talk some more after that, but we'll abandon the feather in the round table. Let's go around one more time, and then each person could say good night. And Dylar, you're up.
Just good night, or are we asking more questions, or is this just the send-off?
The final round. One time the feather's going to go around and each person can say a salutation before we stop recording.
I just say thanks for coming, guys. I see we got 9 people in the chat right now, or watching the live stream. Show up every Monday, guys. We're going to make this a thing. That's all I really got to say. Cheers.
Yep, I'm Beef Martine, and I was in the chat passing the feather. I just wanted to inspire you all to try this open format where anyone can sit down next to the leader of the Alliance or next to some random maniac, and you can just pass the feather around and each person gets to talk one by one and listen. And I really appreciated listening to you all tonight, and thanks for listening to me. Just the whole act of speaking a few words and being heard feels really good. So I appreciate the verbal intercourse that we had tonight. Thanks for coming. Come back next Monday. We'll do it again in a different way. Beef signing off. The Raven is next.
Well, this is the Random Maniac, and I hope everyone has a good night and good dreams, and always have fun. And Queen Abby, your turn.
Oh, thanks. Well, this has been a great roundtable this week, our third one. So I'd like to say thank you very much for attending, and hopefully we'll be picking up more viewers and more people will be willing to join us to have a little bit of conversation every week. And thank you, Fish, for dropping in and thinking it was our normal voice chat. But hey, you're welcome anytime, no matter what it is. So have a good night, everyone. Thank you.
And pass it to Kadar.
As always, pleasure to be here for these. They're always a fun time to interact with people of the guild or people of the alliance you don't normally get to interact with. Good luck to all Division 1 and 2 players who have to put up 4 fleets in the Grand Arena upcoming. I am so happy I'm not one of you. Rest in pieces. Passing it on.
Woohoo!
Fish and chip.
Well, I kind of look forward to that, actually. I got to tell you, the biggest difference between this chat and the ones I usually get on was that Naughty wasn't talking all the time.
I tagged him.
Have a good
I
night.
tagged him. He just didn't want to be in the room with two Saskies there, Fish.
Shots fired.
That's funny.
Dylar, did you say goodnight? Oh, you did. Well, you can push the button anytime. We're signing off for the official round table. We're going to stop the recording, but we might stay in chat afterwards without any official.
You can delete that little bit about Naughty off the recording.
I mean, this is live, you realize. You know that, right? This is being broadcasted right now on YouTube.
Well, all
Too
right.
late.
Know that.
Too late.
It's on the internet forever.
There you
We
go.
do love you, Naughty Karate.
He's
Who's in
my
here?
little brother. You know that? He's been hanging around me since this game started.
Yeah, that's cool.
Pretty much, so, yeah.
He was at the round table
We
last
were-
week. He said some amazingly profound stuff about the game, actually.
Well, we were in Endor before it was Endor, and it's gone through quite a few iterations. But way back when it was Sanctuary or something like that, if I remember correctly, way back when. So
Good time,
Yeah.
good time. Well, tell us when you push the button, Dylar, and we're off the record.